Every morning, the same women gathered at the fountain. They filled their buckets, but they were never in a hurry. Instead, they talked. Who had done what, whose house looked how, whose daughter was still living at home. Their voices hit the stone basin and spread into the morning air, drifting through the village's narrow streets. Lena walked those streets every morning. She was 23. She lived alone in a small house on the north side of the village, up on the slope. Her mother had died 2 years ago. She had left behind her loom and her thread. Lena woke early every morning. She went to the loom. While her hands did what they knew, she listened to the village waking up outside. On days when she needed to go to the market, she had to pass the fountain. The women never lowered their voices. "There she is," one would say. "Just look at her," another would add. "What is she doing alone in that house her mother left her, I wonder?" In the beginning, Lena would stop. She would turn. She would explain herself. Her voice was calm. Her words were measured. But every explanation pulled another behind it, and when it was over, something small was missing from inside her. Small, but real. One morning she came back from the market and walked straight to the mirror. She looked at herself for a long time. She was tired, but not in the way she was used to. There was something else in her eyes, a familiarity. She recognized what she saw. It was the same thing she had seen in the women's faces. Every time she spoke with them, she carried something of theirs back inside herself. Their words, their looks, even the tone of her own voice changed. She understood in that moment that she didn't want this. The next morning, on her way to the market, she passed the fountain again. One of the women raised her voice deliberately. "There she goes. Just look at her." Lena's steps slowed. The familiar thing rose inside her. Words moved toward her mouth. "Turn around. Say something. Explain yourself." But then, the face in the mirror came to mind. That tiredness, that carried thing. Lena turned toward the woman, but she didn't speak. She just looked. It was a long, steady look. No anger in it, no apology. The woman waited, for a defense, for shame, maybe for tears. None of it came. Lena stopped looking. She turned around and walked on. A murmur rose behind her, but it wasn't as strong as before. On her way back from the market, she turned into one of the village's oldest streets. Stone walls, climbing ivy, herbs left to dry above doorways. Marta's house was on that street. The old woman was in her garden as always, sitting on the stone ledge, a handful of onions in her hand, eyes narrowed against the sun. "Sit," said Marta. Her voice was quiet, but you didn't walk past it. Lena set her basket down and sat. Marta kept sorting her onions. There was no breeze in the garden. A rooster called somewhere far off, then silence settled again. Marta spoke without looking up. "I heard you today, at the fountain." Lena said nothing. "You didn't say anything." The sentence was flat, no praise in it, no accusation. Lena said quietly, "I had nothing to say." Marta turned the onion in her hand, looked at it, then set it down. "No," she said slowly, "you had plenty to say, but you chose not to say it." A pause. "That's different." On the walk home, those words turned over in Lena's mind. You chose not to say it. Weeks passed. Lena kept walking past the fountain. The women kept talking. But something had shifted. The voices no longer stuck to her. They no longer followed her. It was as if those voices stayed in their own place now, and Lena simply passed through. With each passing, her back was a little straighter, her steps a little more her own. One evening at the loom, a light breeze came through the window. Through the glass, she could see the village lights, a few yellow windows, the ridge going dark in the distance. The loom's legs were worn, but still solid. Thread moved through her fingers. Outside was the village, with all its voices, its watching, its questions. Inside, the loom kept moving, and Lena noticed something for the first time. The voices outside were not inside anymore. They were only outside. Every time you explain yourself to someone who wasn't really asking, you leave a little of yourself behind. Silence isn't emptiness. It's the decision to keep what's yours.